Okay, very well. 114th index additive prime. The 114th index additive prime is 619, which is the prime number. 114th prime is 619. And the index plus prime is equal to a prime is 808 plus 6211 is 7019. And I just want to talk about 7019. We've talked about other things, but I just want to talk about 7019. 7019 is the numerical value of the verse 9127. Okay. The numerical value of the verse 9127 is 7019. It happens to be the 114th index additive prime. That means you add an index to the prime and you get another prime. Okay? And so now in this little table here, I said index, which is 580, happens to be the index of a lonely prime, and 7019 happens to be a lonely prime. 448 is an is 7019 is an additive prime. It's the index of additive prime 7019. 458 is the index of Gaussian prime 0719. 903 is the index of 7019, which is a prime number. So this number is a lonely prime. 7019 is a lonely prime. Is an index additive prime. It's an additive prime. It is a Gaussian prime, and it's also a regular prime. Okay? So let's just look at these indices that we just generated here. 790 happens to be this 473rd composite, and 473 is equal to 11 times 43, and 1143 is equal to 9 times 127. Okay. 448 is the 361st composite. 361 is actually 19 times 19. It happens to be the 114th semi-prime. So it tells you that chapter 9 has 127 verses. The book has 114 chapters. 458, which is the index of Gaussian prime, happens to be 2 times 229. And the indices of 2 and 229 are 1 and 50. And 150 happens to be the 114th composite. 150th composite happens to be 195. 195 is the numerical value of Kaf, Ha, Ya, Ain, Sad in Surah 19. 903 happens to be the 748th composite. 748 lonely prime happens to be 9127. Okay. So you see that these indices, they all point to this fact that 9 has 127 verses. Okay. And that Quran has 114 chapters. Without this, it would not work. Without 114, which is the number of chapters in the Quran, 9 must have 127 verses. It cannot have anything else. This is the design that the Almighty has in here. And all these indices that looks very innocuous at the beginning, you don't pay too much attention to it. Okay, because they're not divisible by 19. They're just numbers, sort of out of the blue. Okay, but they have properties, and those properties are so profound that tells you what the parameters of this Quran is, how it should be written, how it should be designed in order to be self-contained. Otherwise, it cannot be self-contained. Okay? This is the amazing part about the Quran. And as I said, we can go ahead and make up all kinds of arguments. Okay? But this will tell you that the literal structure of the Quran, okay, is actually designed in such a way that 114, which is the number of chapters in the Quran, lines up with 7019, which happens to be the numerical value of the verse 9127. Okay? It literally generates the Quran letter by letter. That's what it does. We didn't know this stuff before. We didn't know that 7019 has all these properties. It's a lonely prime, it's an additive prime, it's a Gaussian prime, it's a prime. We've known that it is a index prime composite, index additive prime for a long time, but that's as far as we knew. We didn't know any of these other things. We didn't know about 580, how 580 goes back to 9127. We don't know about 448, how that goes back to 114. We didn't know about 458, how that goes back to 114 and 195, which is the numerical value of Kaf, Ha, Ya, Ain, Sad, which is the initials in chapter 19. We didn't know this stuff. Okay? So this is how God has blessed us. Today He has increased our knowledge. Okay? And we have to be grateful to Him with all of our hearts, all of our souls. And love God with all of our hearts and all of our souls. And that's how we can succeed. Now, when we read chapter 51, and we hear all of those things, or we see all of those verses, be it either warnings or good news, we know that this is the truth from God that cannot be imitated. Okay. When God is talking about the fact that Abraham received 3 messengers as guests, honored guests, we know that that's the truth. You and I were not there. When we hear about Moses going to Pharaoh, and that the fact that Pharaoh was drowned with his troops, you and I were not there. We know that this is the truth because of this mathematics. This is the design of the Almighty, which is absolutely flawless because it's based on numbers. And numbers do not lie. Okay. All right, so I'll stop here and we'll finish our Juma. Allahu Kabir.